Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Tuesday, September the 10th. Starting with the Seattle Kraken. I'm wearing Seattle gear. Now, of course, this was reported yesterday. It became official this morning. Adam Larsson signing a 4-year extension with Seattle. The cap hit $5.25 million per season. Could very well mean that he retires as a member of the Seattle Kraken. He's had a good run in Seattle, and that's after a pretty good run in Edmonton as well. So all the best to Larsson as he tries to continue on that trajectory with Seattle for 4 more years past this one. Sidney Crosby. So there's been a lot of speculation around Crosby, and I get it. It's not every day that Crosby's contract's coming to an end. But he's saying an extension's coming before the start of the season. It really is a sticking point, it seems, of how many years he wants to play. I don't think the cap hit's up for debate. I think he knows what the cap hit's going to be. It's just how long he wants to play. And so one debate he's been having is playing into his 40s. And he didn't envision playing into his 40s, but he's starting to warm up to the idea of playing a little bit longer in the National Hockey League than he had intended to. He won't be the first player to do so if that's the case. But at any rate, he also says that he watched the playoffs this season. And he wouldn't normally do so, but he feels like, doing so showed him what the team wasn't doing this past season that they need to do to get over the hump next season. So just watching what other teams that are successful in the playoffs are doing so that going into the season he has a better idea of what maybe Pittsburgh needs to do. And this is coaching talk. So I would not be entirely surprised if when Crosby's career comes to a finish that he goes, you know what, I'll just coach now. So it would not surprise me in the slightest. I think Crosby's one of the smartest players I've watched play the game. And so this may very well be a sign that coaching's in his future. Because most players in the offseason, and for every team, the offseason is when your playoffs are done. It's then your offseason. You don't necessarily want to sit around and watch how other teams that are still in the playoffs are doing. And if your team misses the playoffs, you may not want to see how that all turns out either. I wanted to mention this here. Last night, Raw was in Calgary. I was curious to see what they were going to do. Of course, they're going to bring up Bret Hart because you kind of have to. And when Bret comes out, he can't actually take a bump or anything because he just can't. And there's going to be like a Goldberg mention just for like the boos from the crowd. But what was nice was that Sami Zayn came out with a Johnny Gaudreau jersey on. They also had a nice shot and video of the memorial. Jackie Redmond outside the building. We know that she knows hockey. She being Canadian and beloved now across multiple sports. And so they had a nice tribute on WWE programming to Johnny Gaudreau as they continue to pour in from various sport. And I know people don't qualify WWE as a sport. I'm not saying it is. It's entertainment. Yes, it's predetermined. Blah blah blah. But it was nice, and I thought that the way that they did it was really well done. And I wanted to put this into the video here and acknowledge that WWE did this right. So whoever made the call on how to produce that segment and Sammy coming out with the Johnny Gaudreau jersey, just absolutely fantastic. And yeah, so nicely done, nice touch, great. Nick Robertson. So he has had some talks with Craig Berube apparently. So the new coach wants to make sure that Robertson understands that he's going to get every opportunity that he wasn't getting under Sheldon Keefe. So Robertson signs a 1-year contract worth $875,000. I believe the only player they have that's not waiver eligible in terms of potentially on the roster players is Matthew Nyes. So Robertson, I think, has to clear waivers if they're going to send him down. So he's playing this year. I like Robertson. I've seen some people saying, well, he's not as good as his brother. Of course he's not as good as his brother. Valeri Bure was never going to make you forget about Pavel, but Valeri Bure was a pretty good player as well. And I think with the Robertsons, it's similar in that Jason's going to be the superstar of the family, but I think Nick can carve out a pretty good NHL career for himself as well. Frank Saravelli also reporting that Pacioretty is tied to Toronto. This has been the rumor for about a month now that Toronto wants Pacioretty and that Pacioretty wants to come to Toronto. I did think it was entertaining. One of the posts I saw today is that Pacioretty wears the number 67, and that was the last time Toronto won the Stanley Cup. So if they sign him and he wears 67 and they win the Stanley Cup, then what do you do, right? But at any rate, Pacioretty, if they bring him in, he's going to be a bottom six forward. He's not the goal scorer that he was years back. he can still play a regular shift, and I don't think he'd hurt them if he's on the fourth line. But of course, the thing I've been seeing is, hey, if they're using him to try to, get over losing Marner if they lose Marner after the season, who would think that? There's nobody in Toronto thinking that. They well, if we get Pacioretty, we don't have to worry about losing Marner. Anyways, just one of those things. The Calgary Flames have signed Jared Coreau to a 1-year, 2-way deal. It pays $800,000 at the NHL level, $350,000 at the AHL level, and there's a guaranteed $425,000 in that one as well. Tenорdi had a semi-good run with the Chicago Blackhawks before running into injuries. This past season, up and down results for Tenordi. There's toughness there. There are definitely issues if you overplay him, but he does feel like a Calgary defenseman. He does. I'm not surprised that he's headed to Calgary. It feels like that's probably a good fit for him. I don't know how many games he's going to play. Maybe he ends up playing with the Wranglers for most of the season. But for veteran depth, he can call up when you need it. I think Tenorti's a decent addition for them. The New York Rangers have become the latest to use a professional tryout. Adam Erne gets a professional tryout with the New York Rangers. We know that he has fourth line potential. Maybe if he doesn't get a contract with the Rangers, he signs with the Hartford Wolfpack and plays in the American Hockey League this season. We shall see. One story that's out there, and I always like this. So when you get your star player on a rookie in their rookie year, and going back to Crosby here, of course, Crosby famously lived with Mario Lemieux. And I believe it was Kelly Rudy that had Patrick Marleau living with him for his rookie season. And it's a tradition now. It seems like that when a young player's coming up, that they're going to live with a veteran National Hockey League player for that first season. Macklin Celebrini's the latest. He'll be living with Joe Thornton for this season, and that's a good one. Thornton doesn't officially work for the team. I think Mike Greer said he's the one in charge of vibes in the organization, so he's not officially employed by the Sharks. But I do think we'll see Joe Thornton at all of the Sharks games this year. And if Celebrini has a really strong rookie season, I don't know. Maybe give Joe Thornton some kind of gift package for that. At any rate, Celebrini, of course, a lot of San Jose's hopes and dreams for the future are kind of leaning on him a little bit. We'll see how things go this season. I'm sure Will Smith's thinking to himself, hey, I could have a good rookie season too. Nobody's paying attention to me, which might work out really well for Will Smith, at least out of the gate. But for San Jose, as we get ready for what could be another long season, at the very least, Celebrini being there means that there's some hope, right? And just selling fans on hope can be really, really important. So another retiree to add to the list of retired players, Jordy Benn retires. He didn't play in North America this past season. 607 NHL games in his career, 26 goals, 111 assists, 137 points. Decent depth defenseman, played a long time in Dallas, also played for Vancouver. Did not complete the triumvirate and play in Boston. I was disappointed he didn't play in Boston somewhere along the way. But yeah, Jordy Benn announces his retirement, and it's just time is undefeated. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you have not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.